everyone.
Good morning, ladies and gents. Looks like
We've lost Randy somewhere. I'm not sure where,
I
but
think he's trying to make an entrance. Maybe he feels like he's not as big as he once was, so he's trying to swoop in at the
I
end.
think so. You know how when you come late for a party and you're like, then everybody looks at you because you're late? That's what he's trying to do.
Seems so.
But you know what? It's been an amazing week, a busy week. We're heading into the summer market, so things should start to ease off a little. Usually they do. Oh, and here is the big guy himself.
So we're just saying. I
happened to you?
think lately you felt like you're not a big part of the show, so you want to come in and make an entrance.
An entrance.
Yeah, you want to
I heard you guys.
Oh, yeah,
I just
okay.
kind of ignored it. I was going to yell from the side, but I didn't want to take all the attention.
Do you want to tell everybody our new theme song that you're working on?
No.
Okay. You sure?
Yeah,
Oh,
pretty sure.
It's the first Randy's at a loss for words, huh?
yeah.
Not at a loss of words. There's a song out there that was popular back in the day that may not be so popular.
Was it popular?
How would I have heard of it? How would I even know
You
it
had
exists?
radio. Many songs went on the radio, but they weren't popular.
If you, well,
I
that
remember
would
it.
make it popular if it went on the radio.
And
No,
if
not
you remember it
necessarily.
too. Like you don't
Yes.
remember songs that are like just one-offs.
The song, well,
I guess
it was on the radio every day.
It was on the radio. They played that.
Oh, every day, he says.
It was on the radio every day because if it wasn't, I wouldn't know it. How would you possibly?
He's almost 60, so I guarantee you he doesn't remember back like 50 years ago.
The thing is, see, back then we didn't have CDs or any of that kind of stuff. It was 8-track.
Yeah, I
And
remember
so-
those.
yeah,
They were
and-
fun, actually. Remember when or the VHS, when the ribbon would get caught and then you're winding it back with
Yeah,
your finger? Or
that-
cassette?
Cassette tape, yeah.
So this was
Yeah.
by Randy Newman. It was called Short People. And so we were teasing my wife today, and I happen to know quite a few words
Oh,
of
isn't
it.
that
So what
funny?
I had
His
to-
name is Randy, too.
Randy Newman, and the song's called Short People. If you guys remember that song, you can write in, let us know. I think today that song would be pretty canceled if it was created.
Probably.
It was kind of a joke about short people.
Was he short? Do you know?
I don't think so. I don't know really who he was. I just remember hearing the song
If
as a
he
kid.
was, he had an awful big head.
Oh, look at you now. Who's being mean now? He's not even here to defend himself.
But yeah, because my wife is vertically challenged. She is 4 feet 13 and a half inches tall, so she doesn't.
Which equals 5'1.5", but he refuses to say I'm at least 5 foot.
I am
Ever since I met him, he will not say it.
I'm mathematically correct.
Maybe on your deathbed you will say it. When I'm slapping you like this. No.
You know, the problem with 5 feet 1.5 inches makes you sound like you may be in the realm of being a normal height.
So then I
But-
may be in the realm of being
No,
a
4
slightly normal height for women.
4 feet 13 and a half inches, people can visualize that. They understand you're small.
Maybe I like being short because now at home people got to help me all the time. I can't reach stuff
Yes,
in the cupboard. I can't-
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe I like it because
That's
our
good.
kids, I think our oldest daughter truly is taller than you.
Yes.
She's like 6'1".
Yeah, 6'1".
Is she?
Yeah,
She's a little bit
yeah.
over 6. I don't think she's 6'1",
Skyla is 5'11".
unless she has heels on.
I don't know. My nephew,
How
he
tall are
says
you?
he's 6 feet.
5'11" and a half.
Oh,
I'm not
he
6
put
feet.
that half in there.
Well, that's what it is.
I never heard that before. It was always 5'11".
You've never heard 5'11". You would hear 6 feet.
No.
Especially
saying
when I
fi-
was dating.
5'11" and a half is kind of like when you have the halves in. There's, I mean, you might have a bit of
Then
an issue
should
too.
I have just said 6 feet? I didn't want to overdo it.
You could have said
I wanted
5'11".
to underdo it.
I would say you go under. I would say whenever it's a half, you
Okay.
just go to the one right below.
Okay,
it.
so I'll go. I'll
Below
be,
it?
yeah.
Why?
I'll be more accurate. 5 feet, 11 and 3/4.
So if you said to me, I got $15.50, and you said, no, you got $15.
Yes.
How does that work?
Because
How is that right?
I think you're just mad because you're short,
No,
but it's okay.
how does that
yeah,
work?
short people happen to be
You can't
angry.
take the 50 cents away because the 50 cents is real. That half of an inch is real. and if
And-
it was men, they'd be like all over it.
Yeah, and it can make a big difference.
You just got that in?
It could be the difference between getting married or staying single.
Okay, on to real estate. Sorry. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're heading into the summer months. I was saying before you came in because you were late.
I heard everything you said.
Yeah. So I mean, the market is still a bit healthy out there, though.
It depends on the area. Yeah. It depends on the area. I can't read that. This is pink highlighter.
Phone's
I
on.
can't see it. It really depends on the areas. Durham is falling. Central Toronto is falling. West Toronto is falling. East Toronto seems to be holding steady. And one of the reasons for that is its price point. It's the lowest price point of the central areas. And so people are gravitating to that to get the deal, as opposed to being in the areas where the prices have been higher. We've been seeing a leveling of the playing field for a number of years now. Central Toronto was always the most expensive, then it expanded north, and then it expanded west, and then it expanded east. And so, west and then north and then east. And what we saw is as they expanded north, they built all the bigger homes. And so that was like more executive living. When they expanded west, that's where all the manufacturing jobs went. And so population density caused those prices to rise fairly fast. The east was really just a place to live, to travel into the city to work. And then they planted the GM plant right in Oshawa. So then Oshawa was a GM town. And if GM was on strike, Oshawa was a ghost town. When GM threatened to shut down, Oshawa was a ghost town. It was dependent strictly on basically GM and the mall. And then what happened was, as Central Toronto being the hub, that's where all the high prices come from first. Then we go north and west, and lastly east. East would always be the cheapest. But what we're starting to see now is that proximity is really the goal, proximity to the jobs. And so we're starting to see the east starting to balance a little bit more with the west, and that's why we get a lot of pressure on the eastern prices, and it's one of the fastest growing prices that we've had in the last 2 years. And it rose up high, quick, and it's starting to descend back down, but so is the west and the north, and definitely the outskirts. However, the outskirts in the summertime actually do well, because that's their market, right? They're in the outskirts, they've got the lakes, they've got, the beautiful scenery and all that stuff. And so they do well in the summer, whereas in Central, in Toronto and the GTA, we find that our springs is where we do all of our business. And that's because people really want to get prepared. The main focus of most families today here in the GTA is their children. And they want to make sure that at all costs, even if it costs them more, that they have their children settled into their new area with their new friends before they go to their new school. And so spring is our big season. And oddly enough, summer is pretty much the deadest season of the year, outside of like December and January and late November. Those are dead seasons as well, because as Canadians, typically speaking, before this whole new happy holidays thing came in, Christmas was massive. And people were really busy visiting relatives and all that stuff, but they shut down Sundays, because Sundays was a day where you could go and spend time with families. They shut that down, and that's just a regular day now. So people are always busy. So there's a lot less family. They've also shut down Merry Christmas and things like that, and it's season's greetings, and even that they're kind of shutting down. And so what we're finding is that season is a slower season. Summer is slower season.
Sorry, so are you saying when they used to say Merry Christmas, it was busier for the real estate industry?
I know.
Sorry,
I don't get the correlation.
Correlation? No, it was just more history, more than a correlation with respects to real estate. Because to be honest with you, I do remember how that affected retail, though. Yeah, I remember that it was really good for the retail market that Sunday, because Sundays was a day when everything was closed except for
But you're going back many
corner
years.
stores.
That's like many, because that's like, I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
I don't think it's
Yeah.
closed. Well, from when I was a teenager, for sure, they were open, which was, teenager for me would be the mid-90s.
Mid-90s, yeah. So So I started in '88. So I watched that transition. I remember.
I know it's true. I'm not saying, I know
Yeah.
things were closing. You didn't have like 24-hour stores and those kind of things back then. But.
Yeah, the grocery stores that was it. That was all that was open, that corner store. And so there was nothing to do, and that's why those were big family events, which today is not as common, that Sunday family event, oddly enough. But yeah.
Cool.
So we are getting into the summer months, which means that things are slowing down. And for you realtors out there that haven't educated your client as to getting on the market during this time, because some clients, there are circumstances where they can't help it, such as if they were renovating their home and they just haven't been ready. So they're trying to beat this whole long weekend dead zone. Because, again, we go back to habits for Canadians. The long weekend, the highways are you can drive anywhere. And at the speed of light, I went into Toronto. It took me half an hour.
Sorry, say it again.
Our highways are empty
on the long weekend.
On the long weekends.
Oh, okay.
So on the, let's say it's a long weekend let's pretend Friday and Monday you're closed. So then you got Thursday, everybody's running out of town. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday is Deadsville. Monday,
I would say Saturday, Sunday. Thursday, Friday is still.
it depends when the long weekend is. If it's on the Friday or if it's on the Monday.
Well, a lot of people, mind you, they leave. Some people to beat the rush, they take Wednesday and Thursday off.
Off,
work,
right, and then they
you'll
go.
see a lot of trailers going up the highway on a Wednesday as well.
So it depends
Yeah.
what day the long weekend, if it's the Friday or the Monday, but that day that they can all take off to their cottages, it is almost impossible
And
to
Monday
get around
is horrible going
on the
west.
highway. And then coming back, it's horrible. But then during the week, the highways are clear. During the weekend, the highways are clear. But what that really means in terms of for realtors is that if you're doing a open house or you got a new listing and you're expecting showings, there's not a lot of people around. It's a much slower time, much harder to get masses through the homes. So it's really hard to get multiple offers during that week. And so what happens is that sort of earmarks the start of this event where many Canadians are basically taking off every weekend from that point on to their cottages. And so summer becomes a slow period. And that's the real reason why summer is slow, is because Canadians have gone on with their lives and that's their time to really enjoy themselves up north or up at their cottages.
And I don't know, for like the December, January, for me, I would say, I know we all live in Canada, we should be used to the temperature, but it's also probably, you don't want to leave the house when it's snowing and it's freezing outside and you have to trudge through all the crap. So that could be part of the reason for the winter shutdown.
Yeah.
You know, the buyers that are out there, if they're looking at your listings, they're serious.
They're serious because
They're out in that cold snow. They want to buy something.
with the boots and
So before we move on, we've had two emails come in, one from Tim. Tim was talking about when we were talking about the Short People song. He says, "Hello, real estate people. Love the short people song. Thanks for the memories."
Tim, what the heck?
What's wrong with it? It was a good song.
It is a funny song. Obviously, today you're gonna get like pretty much murdered for the song, but it's a funny song, and it's taken. I'm pretty sure it was even sung in jest, right? It was nothing. Obviously, I don't think he's being serious about the lyrics, but it is funny. And we have.
I married a short person. In spite of knowing about the song.
Or maybe because of the song, maybe he was like, "Hey, that's such a catchy
Oh,
song."
that's true. Maybe that's what did it.
That's what it
It
is.
embedded in my mind that short
That
people.
short is amazing. Yeah.
Maybe.
Another email from Karen. Something like my memories. So basically, she has a picture of a lady shopping, and the subtitle is "A woman with $20 of groceries before going home to her $15,000 house in 1980." And the $20 worth of shopping is a full basket of stuff, of everything. Yeah, $20 now that might be the price to get into the grocery store in a year from now.
No.
Gotta pay just to get
A
in.
fee to go in, yeah. To make sure you can afford to buy groceries and you're not just sitting there walking around.
Or for your plastic bag.
Or that
Oh,
too.
gosh.
I know what the thing is now, because you can't even buy plastic bags anymore.
bag.
And I have like so many of them. Like every time I go to the store, I always forget them in the car, and then it's just like I refuse to buy anymore.
Yeah.
I have, like,
Yeah,
so many of
yeah.
these.
Well,
of these
actually,
bags.
Foodland still has plastic. They have plastic and reusable.
I think there's probably a time limit where they have to.
But Foodland's expensive, so they don't mind giving you a plastic bag for free because it's your grocery.
No, I don't think they're allowed to give it for
No,
free.
they are.
No, they're not.
I don't
No,
pay
I don't
for the
think so.
I don't pay
I
for
think-
the plastic bag there.
Well, they pay for it then because
No, but the thing is,
they're-
even the plastic bags, I think there's probably a certain amount of time where they're completely phased
Oh,
out.
for sure.
But like,
For
I
sure.
think it might be like end of this year or whatever. I'm not sure what the date is, but after a certain point,
Yeah.
you can't give them out, whether you pay for it or not.
But remember, Foodland is open 24, well, not 24/7, but the
Anymore.
only day they close is Christmas and New Year's. They're open Good Friday, they're open every holiday.
So I guess the whole thing is to get rid of plastic. That's what the whole thing is.
Yes.
So in being able to do that, all they have to do, and they're getting close, so they're working on the plastic bags in the grocery store. So now we get the paper bags, and we got to pay for them, and they rip before you get to your car.
They're horrible.
But they're going to get rid of plastic eventually.
But I think the paper is meant to rip, so you'll buy the more expensive one because the paper is 15
It's always
cents.
been garbage.
The 15 cents for the paper one, and 25 cents for the reusable one.
Oh, I thought it was like $1. But so then you got the plastic they're trying to get rid of. So that means that the plastic bags will be gone, but that also means that our phones will need to be gone. Your glasses will need to be gone. The mics that we have will need to be gone. Your computers will need to be gone.
I think you're being a little
the little
facetious,
tip,
but-
Yeah,
you know the
yeah.
little tip
Definitely.
on your shoelace. There's a little tip that allows you to put it through the
I
eye.
think the
Those will need
difference-
to be gone.
The difference, though, is the plastic bags are not. With your glasses, you're using those for 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is. The tip on your shoes.
Yeah, but if you can't manufacture the plastic,
you can still manufacture it. You just
well,
can't
I'm
manufacture
saying that's the goal, is that you can't,
Okay, well, I don't know what that
right?
is.
Because it comes from petrol, right? So this is
They're talking about plastics that end up in the landfill and don't disintegrate, Randy.
all of them end up. What do you do with your glasses when you're done with them?
You
You
get-
store them on a shelf?
No, you give them in and then they send them off to
That's
like
not what you
third
do.
world countries.
That's not what you do.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
You go
You're trying
home
to
and find
show
my
off in front of
glasses.
7,000
You
people. You're
asked
lying.
what?
I'm calling you out. I'm calling you
You
out.
don't want me to call you out.
Call me out. I'm good
Anywho,
with it.
people, going back on what Randy was talking about earlier with house prices and how it gets cheaper.
And Anthony's watch, Fitbit, will have to be gone as
That's
well.
rubber.
Yes, rubber.
Most of it's rubber.
What about the glass part of it?
What about this?
But that's
what
glass.
about you?
It's a metal,
That's
but
glass.
the glass will.
And I think this is metal too. Or maybe, I don't know. Anywho, getting back
Your
to
mouse
it.
will be gone.
This is metal. It's a high-tech one.
Your wedding ring.
Okay, stop. Enough.
Anywho, getting back to what we were talking about earlier. You okay over there?
No, we shouldn't be.
So house prices, we all know. Good Lord, people, I'm trying to do a show here.
I'm kidding.
All right, so home prices. So we all know the farther you get away from the city, the cheaper the home prices get, right? So the national average home price in Canada for 2023 is $754,700. Now again, this is a national price, which takes into consideration Toronto, Vancouver, as well as all the smaller places, Calgary, Alberta, and such.
Can you name them all?
I cannot. I failed geography.
He's a math teacher.
Hey, exactly. Yeah. I can do the numbers. So yeah, so the average price is $754,700 as of May, which is the highest since July of last year. Obviously, this number is increased with all the stuff that happened when the prices went up. So now we have, again, depending on where you are, that 700,000 can look nice or not so nice, right? So the high price cities would be Toronto and Vancouver, obviously. In Toronto, in the GTA, the average home price is 1.164 million, which is an 8.8 increase over or since January of this year. Vancouver topped the list with an average price of 1.188 million. So these are all high price cities, right? So depending on where you go, you have places that are above national average, places below. So above the national average are places like Hamilton, which is around 800,000 and change. Guelph, 843,000. Kitchener, 777,000. So these are, again, all places where are a little bit higher than the average. If you want to save a bit of money, you get below. A few cities you can go to are the Niagara region, which is around 662,000. Ottawa, 645,000. London, 619,000 and such. Now, the most affordable place, if you want to really get a steal of a bargain, you're like, you know what, I can't take these prices anymore. I need to save some money. Where you need to go is you need to go to St. John's, New Brunswick. Sounds weird when I say it. There, the average home price is $281,000, which was in May of 2023. Now, this is almost $500,000 cheaper than the national average, and almost $880,000 lower than the GTA. So if you have family in St. John's, or if you just want to, take up your family and actually save some money, this is the place to go. $281,000. I remember when I was maybe around 20 years ago, when we thought that price was like too high, but you can still get that if you're willing to travel a little bit and maybe change your lifestyle a bit and get a new job and all the other stuff. But so yeah, prices, again, I think a lot of people are waiting for them to come down, hoping. Again, personally, I don't really think they'll come down much. Maybe they'll come down a little bit with the rate hikes that we had and that potentially we might have going forward. But long run, the prices are going to go up, right? So you might get lucky and save maybe $100,000 here or there, depending on what happens in the next year or two. But long term, I think we can all agree that the prices are going to go up, barring something catastrophic, which hopefully doesn't happen. So yeah, so thoughts, ladies and gents?
Well, yeah, I definitely think going to St. John's, New Brunswick is...
Okay, it's St. John. Because St. John's is in Newfoundland. It's St. John.
Oh, it is
New
St. John.
Brunswick.
Well, that's what it says here.
There's
Sorry.
something...
I'm from the East Coast. That's the only reason why I know it.
And I think it's a different reason why she's bringing that up. It's the S. The S stands for short, and she's just very
triggered.
particular on where that S must be. But New Brunswick, that unfortunately, it may be it's actually absolutely gorgeous to live there, and it's a great price. However, jobs.
Yeah.
Jobs is really, really important. It doesn't matter how cheap things are, because if you don't have a job, then you can't buy a house.
That is true, but at the same time, there's still jobs and won't be the same quality of jobs, but at the same time, because the prices there are much cheaper, you don't have to have like the same income. And I'm going to talk about the income later in the show with what you need to live in certain places, just to kind of jump in there a little bit. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and that's a good point. I mean, if the jobs per capita is pretty important, density is certainly not there in St. John without an S.
And honestly, too, with jobs, like, again, I haven't really looked at this, but like even my sister, she's working from home right now, and there's sites where you can just look for jobs where you just work from home. So if you're willing to kind of go out there and look for these things, there's definitely where you live. It does matter depending on what industry you're in, but there are definitely jobs where you can find where you can work from home or work remote and still make a decent living. But again, they're not. I wouldn't say they're like as prevalent as other jobs depending on where you live, but they are there as well.
So, I think there's a lot of considerations. For example, they don't have population density. So do they have the infrastructure to invest in the internet being at the speed of light? Like, for example, here we have what is the best internet in the world right now currently. In the world, fiber optics. And we're having issues with it today. And our producer was running speed checks this morning and saying, holy smokes, it's dropped in half. It's dropped in half again. And that's here where we have a great infrastructure. Now, if you're out in St. John and your infrastructure isn't as great and you may be using a traditional dial-up, I'm just saying, I understand. But how do you then perform at work? How do you, if we're having those kind of problems here, they must be having their sort of problems. So you can't really relate a job that you could perform to an optimal level here with issues to performing that same job there where they don't have the infrastructure. Just a thought.
I hear you, but at the same time, we do have the satellite internet, which again I can't speak on it because I've never used it, but I know. A friend of mine, she lives. It's in Ontario, but she lives in one of those kind of remote places, so she can't use Bell or Rogers. So she's using I think Starlink. I think
Starlink. Yeah, my brother is using that as well,
and so
he says it's excellent.
Yeah, so I think for internet for 2022, I think you're pretty much okay. Again, I can't speak on that.
So you're just sort of guessing.
It's the same thing like you. You're
making it up,
just
right?
like you're guessing.
Well, I'm questioning. I think there's a difference. Yeah, but that's okay. We can see it in your face when you're just guessing and trying to be an optimist, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's great that you're being.
But we all
an
know
optimist.
for like who's smarter and like what are they, like those
this
things.
This is true.
It's more likely going to be on this end here. Jack,
maybe it gets smarter as it goes that way. Right? It gets to the highest level at the end.
Anthony would be the smartest. Yeah.
Just saying.
But I've seen many situations where the smartest don't perform the best. I mean, I've seen that. Certainly,
because they're just too smart for their own good.
Well, it's prevalent in school, right?
They get bored and they start failing.
And they start acting up, getting in trouble.
I got the street smarts and the school smarts. I'm dual.
You've got both?
Ooh, ladies, too bad he's married because he's
yes,
all around.
because he's got it all.
What can I say? It's not easy being me. What can I say, huh? Everyone's just looking at me and like, I wish.
Yeah. And what's your wife saying?
It's same thing.
She wishes that. She wished she would perform. Sorry.
I see how it is, Jackie. Huh?
That hurt.
I think it's because of Short People song, huh?
I told you I'm getting back at you guys today.
Hey, before we move on, a few emails. One from Tammy. Tammy says, hello, you're home. We love Jackie. Okay, thanks.
Thank you,
Nobody asked Tammy, but I guess thanks. And it basically says, since no one can afford a house, now I went to IKEA. So she went to IKEA and she purchased a log home.
Oh.
And in the back of her pickup is a bunch of logs. So with IKEA
Little
stuff,
logs.
putting things together takes forever, and this looks like it would take
That
quite a
looks
while.
like a truck from back home where I'm from, like that.
That looks like what they do in India, where they have everything overloaded.
Oh, jeez.
You would not be allowed to travel our streets like that here.
One from Brian. Brian says, Sunday days. Hello, I remember those great old Sunday days. Thanks for sharing. There you go, Brian. So we found someone who's as old as Randy. Thank you, Brian.
You know what? I gotta say, I was really saddened when they took away the Sunday thing. I kind of get it. Many people, they're saying, well, you know what? This whole Christian thing, we shouldn't be living that life. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with having a down day where it is a family day, because regardless if you want it to be a day at church or something like that, regardless if that's not your thing. Just being able to have time where everyone gets to relax. Everyone gets to either just hang at a home or they get to go and see their friends and relatives, and you know that everyone is free on that day. Everyone, and it was kind of a beautiful time.
Everyone can't be free, babes.
But everyone was free.
No,
in Europe,
tow
don't they-
truck drivers are still out there. People working at the gas stations are still out.
Not very many.
But it's not everyone.
That's true.
But don't they, in Europe, don't they have like some cities where like they shut down like
No.
midday?
I'm not sure.
Isn't it like it's some parts of like Italy
Yeah.
and France at 5 o'clock everything
shuts down.
It's like in Barbados.
yeah.
When we go to Barbados, 5 o'clock, like pretty much all
5, 6
Bridgetown, the
o'clock.
main part,
Yeah,
is
they're-
shut
No, but I
down.
heard in Italy, it's not that they shut down. Like they have like they go to work. There's like a 3-hour break and then they go back, something like that. Like every day is like again, I'm not. I'd have to
Yeah,
do
I've
research
heard
on
of
it.
something like that, but I don't know a lot about it. Yeah.
And they drink wine under lunch hour too in Europe.
Well, if you have 3 hours off, you can.
You can drink a lot in 3 hours.
Yeah.
All right, Jack, you got
Okay,
anything?
yes, I got this. I wanted to do this last week, which I think is very exciting because everybody knows I'm into those tiny homes. Because I'm tiny. So this here is a really interesting new concept project that is coming near Collingwood, and it's called Thornbury, I'm not sure, Acres, and it is an alternative to expensive living. And what it is, it's condos, and each condo, you're in a corporation. It's it's cooperative farming life. So this 88 acres of space, everybody has their house. Everyone has 800, let me get this right, 800 square foot plot that they can grow vegetables and that on. But then they have a big plot that is the community, and everybody chips in taking care of this farming. And then they use obviously what they grow. And so it's like 60 acres dedicated to the roads and residences, and 40 acres is pretty much farming. And there's 37 homes going on it, and I think it's an amazing project. Now at the end, they're like, the project offers the potential for TikTok stardom. I don't know who wants that, especially that's a lot of work. But it's in the works and it's going to happen, and you guys can look it up. It's Thornbury Acres, it's called, and
Is this in Toronto?
Collingwood.
near Collingwood, right? Just 2 hours from Toronto. But it sounds really interesting, and you know what? It sounds like an amazing community where the whole community is going to come together like one big family, and they're going to do take turns farming and the upkeep of everything. I mean, I don't know, I think it's cool. You want to move there?
Me?
He's like, me?
Well, first of all, I'm not.
A farmer?
I don't have
know.
a green thumb.
You tried that in COVID, yeah.
I will.
And he didn't even eat his stuff he grew, so I
I
don't-
was
Trust his own
concerned.
stuff.
I was
He
concerned.
gave it to me. He pulled the lettuce out of the hydroponics or whatever, because this was growing without soil, and it looked good, but nobody was willing to eat it in the house. I brought it in the house, and everybody was a little bit scared because Daddy grew it. And you didn't even eat it yourself.
Not even like one bite.
No.
Well, he's getting like grow an extra hand or
It
something.
was my first shot at it. It
And
was
he also
during
got
COVID.
into the succulents during COVID. He got really, we were driving all over Mississauga everywhere buying succulents, which
what is
once
succulent?
again he didn't take
It
care
was
of.
the potters that we bought, and it happened that the lady sold succulents.
Succulents are these beautiful little,
They're
unique-
halfway to cactus.
Yeah, they're really cool though.
They're
And there
very-
was
there's
some
some
really,
rare
I have to
stuff.
say there was some really
What do you do
cool
with
ones,
it?
but.
You don't eat those. What do you do with those?
No, they're
No, they're like plants. Like you look at them, you grow them, which we don't
Look
have a
at them.
green thumb, so everything dies in our hands.
Yeah, I'm not very good
We've
with that
killed
stuff.
2 cactus. So
Cactus,
yeah,
cacti.
Cacti.
cacti. I call it cactus, people. Sorry.
Is it cacti?
So cooperative
Not the
farming living.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? I can see some strong pros to it. If that's something that you love. I like the idea of the community because
Yes.
again it gets back to the whole thing that we're talking about, Sundays off and then you can have like a family day, because I really like the idea of being able to get together, the whole social part of life. If you want to know why people are unhappy, it can be pretty obvious. All you got to do is just look at people who are not spending time with other people. And they are more and more miserable. And it's because we're designed as social creatures.
So you're saying I'm miserable? Because I don't like to hang out by myself.
But you already know that. So the thing is that in this, all that time farming and that you would get time to spend with other people, and I can see that they could have Monday at Joe's, Tuesday at Mary's, whatever, and then they can have the corn roast and all that stuff, which was
Book
stuff
clubs
that
and
which was stuff that I really did love, and it would be a small community, and
yeah,
I
it's
think
only
it.
37 homes. Yeah.
I think it's interesting. It's interesting. It wouldn't be something I
think
really
it could
want to
work,
do.
but it also depends on the people, right? Because people are weird in general. Like
Can be, yeah.
Can be, yes. Like, well, no, I think the people are just weird, but like everyone's weird. Everyone has their quirks.
Quirks,
Yeah.
yes.
But like it could work, but then
We're weird. Are you weird too?
like when you get people together, especially if it's like a communal thing where you have like this 60 acres where
Yeah.
everyone's supposed to be doing the work, and then 5 people are doing the work, and then 10 people aren't, and then the people are saying, "Oh, I'm doing the work, you're not doing the work. So do I get some of the food? Do you not get the food?" Like, I think there could be
there's
issues.
probably some kind of contracts that you have to be involved in these things.
Well,
I know what you mean, but you know what I thought of? You know how the last couple years we've had a few seniors that we've sold for, and some of them are ready for like a real retirement, but some of them love gardening, and now they're selling their homes that they had fairly big backyards, and they garden a lot. I could see this as like they said, as a cheaper alternative life than buying in the city somewhere, where somebody like that's an active senior, I could see this being amazing
and loving
for it.
gardening.
And
yeah.
I love working with seniors. I just love seniors. So
And we got an email from Kelly saying we have it here. So Jackie, we have community orchards and farming here already in Toronto. They've been around for over 12 years. I think that there is a show on your radio station that talks about that and promotes that. So I'm not sure.
There
so
is
there's
one.
a farming
yeah.
community right now?
Gary would be the best one to talk about that. Do you want to say something, Gary, quick, or you there?
Yeah, now that,
Awesome.
I know about that. Those are all over the place. But this is almost like a little gated community where the homes are inside the orchids and
Yeah,
the
orchards.
farm. So I understand what was her name?
Kelly.
What Kelly's talking about, because they have those all over the place, but this is actually built inside of the community with the homes. Like everybody has their own plot as well, and then you have all of it, like trails, orchids, and it's all maintained through the
So
community.
basically, each house has their own little garden, 800 feet, you said?
Yeah.
And then plus you have the community garden as well.
That they all
within the same
contribute
place,
to, right? So
yeah.
it's a little bit different in what Kelly's talking about.
Because this one is actually community that you live in,
Right, and
as
it's not
well
for the
as
entire
work in.
community. Anybody can come in and help. It's strictly
for
within
these
this,
people.
within this 100 acres.
So if you remember, we see it. We don't take part in it because we don't have green thumbs. Neither one of us have an
Or
interest
time.
in that. However, we do think it's pretty beautiful. The Pickering has that.
Yeah.
They have
Right off Kingston Road,
Yeah,
Rock.
they have in the hydro fields. The community can go there and plant and
Yeah.
do their things, and everybody participates. And it's anybody within the community can go there and grow stuff and that. And
How does that work?
like minds.
Can anybody harvest the fruit too? Like how?
Well,
don't
no,
know
you
how it
harvest your
works.
own. There's the honor system.
Okay.
And I'm going to be honest. I know that you say that we're all strange, we're all unique, and we are. However, the majority of us just want to get along. Majority, I'm talking, probably 70+%. And then you've got a small portion within that other 30%, and a small portion are rebels, and then you get, moving up the line until you get to the 70% that just want to get along. Most people just want to get along, and that's where the communities work.
I agree with you. It's just those 30% are usually louder than the 70%.
Well, disruptive. They're usually disruptive, right? Because now your tomatoes are gone, and you spent all season, and they're not even eaten. You can see them smashed up against posts and stuff like that. Somebody had a tomato fight or something, and yes, that can be a problem.
Okay, my next story is kind of it's just, we have a new listing coming up, actually today. It'll probably be live in the afternoon, and it is off the Don Valley Parkway, close to York Mills. And the address is 40 Monarch Wood Crescent. So if you go to the website, 40 MONARCHWOODCRES.com. I know it's a long one, but it's the address. We buy the address up so we can have a domain for the property, its own website. If you go on there and look it up, you'll see this amazing property. It's 2,000 square feet, not including the basement, renovated top to bottom, 4 bathrooms, open style kitchen with it's a luxury home. It has a terrace over the garage and the back of the house. It's pretty incredible, amazing rental job done there, and that's hitting the market this afternoon. And it's in a very convenient location, excellent French school in the area, just a really, really good area.
Yeah, and the website is being built out now. So it actually, as you go there, you will see we'll be adding more and more to it because we're building it out in order to be able to to market the property.
And we will be having an open house.
Yep, go ahead.
No, we'll be having an open house on Sunday. Did we decide a time yet?
Probably 2 to 4.
2 to 4, and we're looking at doing one Monday evening as well. We're just probably around 5 or 6. We'll be there for a couple hours, but anybody wants to pop in, if you live in the area, you want to meet us, we'll be there.
We'll be there. This house is absolutely stunning, gorgeous.
Yeah.
It is a new up-and-coming renovator who really wants to put his signature in on the marketplace, and he's went into this home and totally upgraded it to the 22nd century. So he's ahead of his time.
And he also owns the window and door company. So those amazing windows.
He's put brand new, big, huge picture windows, just massive. Taller than
Floor
you
to
in most
ceiling.
cases. Floor to ceiling windows.
Taller than who?
Than us, both of us.
Easy for Jackie.
Nice bleached hardwood floors with a blue accent. Very, very stylish floors, I gotta admit.
Beautiful fireplaces.
A
in both
granite
rooms.
fireplace, and then another state-of-the-art wood rib fireplace. It's got 2 walkouts to the yard. It's gas higher end looking gas stove with
the fridge. Yeah,
the fridge.
Like there was no corners cut on this one. It's absolutely a gorgeous property.
They went and upgraded the home from having 4 bedrooms, 4 small, not really well usable bedrooms, to creating a master ensuite oasis with the bathroom and the his and hers closets, with a beautiful walkout deck the patio deck on the second floor, great for entertaining. So you have a wonderful backyard, and then you have this patio deck. And the basement is ready to do what you want to do with it, whether you want to make it an apartment or whether you want to make it more living space for your children. It's left for you to decide what you want to do. It's definitely worth seeing. It is almost one of a kind, because typically homes that have this type of look are custom style homes, and they only go $2, $3, $4 million, whereas this is more of an economy version of that, where it wasn't built from scratch as a custom home. It was renovated into the custom home style. It's got a one-car garage. It's just a phenomenal purchase for the person who's looking for that type of custom home, but just can't afford the $3 million price tag that is out there. So yeah, you should take a look. 40 Monarch Crescent, and you can visit it at 40 Monarch Wood Crescent. And so it's, as Jackie said, the website again is 40, Monarch, MOARCHWOOD, and then CRES.com. And you can find it there. That'd be.
And I have to honestly give a little shout out to our designer. She's not a stager, she is a designer. She stages the homes for us, but she also designs homes, designs rooms. She did an amazing job.
Yeah.
I have to say.
It's good signature. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous home.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, so we're just putting that out there because go check it out on the website.
Good.
Yeah. And that was my spiel. Okay, who's
Anthony,
next?
you got
All
one?
right, so I got one more. It's talking about, I'm not sure, I might have mentioned this last week, or I'm not sure if we had time, but I'm just talking about salary requirements for home ownership in Toronto and other cities. So I'm pretty sure we talked about it a little bit, but anyways, even though we've had a lot of interest rate hikes, the salary required for home ownership in Toronto has actually decreased over the last year by a little bit. So according to ratehub.ca, for a homeowner, it's actually $3,450 less this year than you would have needed back in May 2022. Now this may have changed with that last interest rate hike we just had, but for that I'd have to do a little bit more research, right? So this is due to an $85,000 decline in the city's average home price during the same period. So the current salary requirements in the Toronto area for a home is only $222,600, right? Only. So if you're looking for a home in Toronto, where the prices are just over $1 million, 1.1 million, I believe, in that range, you need $222,600 annually to secure a home in that area. Now, in some other cities, if you don't have that income, which I'm not sure, I'd like to kind of find out how many people actually have that kind of income in Toronto. Be I guess a good thing to find out. So maybe I can try to find that information for next week. But some other cities where a little bit more affordable. If you're willing to go to Winnipeg, which is well out there, not well away from Toronto, you only need $77,000. Edmonton, $81,000 and change. Montreal, just over $107,000. Halifax, $109,000. Calgary, $111,000. All right. So those are some cities where you can go to get a bit of a better deal. But again, as Randy was saying earlier, yes, you can get a home for cheaper, but for one, do you want to live in those areas? I know Winnipeg and Edmonton, make sure you bring your parkas because those places are fairly cold.
Fairly?
Just trying to be nice to those cities. You know, I haven't actually been there, but I've heard some stories.
I've been.
So you can't get the homes cheaper, but again, are you okay with the weather? Are you okay with the area? It's personally, I wouldn't really want to go too far out of Ontario, to be honest.
So why isn't Newfoundland in there? They didn't say anything about Newfoundland?
Let's
Just,
see. No, nothing about
I was
Newfoundland.
quite surprised you needed that much income for Halifax. Wow, their prices have increased a lot.
Yeah, so it's not cheap out there, ladies and gents. If you want a house, you do have to have income. Actually, another thing, I'm not sure how much time we have. We have a few minutes. So another article was talking about how for first-time homeowners, how they're actually getting into these homes, because again, to buy a home now, especially in the GTA area, where houses are over $1 million, you need at least $20,000 to get into these houses, right? Because you can no longer use CMHC to help you when the prices get above $1 million. So what they're finding is that a lot of first-time homeowners are actually getting gifts from family members. It says 44% of first-time homebuyers in the GTA said that assistance was a gift from, I guess, maybe their parents or most likely their parents, right? So they're getting gifts from their parents. Also, 29% of first-time homebuyers in the GTA received monthly mortgage payment help. So again, it's really, you have to have a good foundation or be, I guess, the right genetics, born to the right family where they can help you out. Because again, right now, as I've been talking about quite a bit over the last few weeks, is the home prices have gone up fairly rapidly, whereas our income hasn't really followed in suit. So that, as well as our monthly costs of what we spend on a daily basis, whether it's, again, you obviously have cell phones, which we didn't have years ago, Uber Eats, which again, you don't have to use them, but it's, for some reason, people are. So again, we have all these other things pulling at us, which we could say no to, but I guess we like the lifestyle we have. So a lot of people aren't willing to give up some of these things. So the monthly outlay is fairly high, where it's not easy to save up $250,000 for these homes, right? To save $250,000, if you're putting away $1,000 a month, that's what, 250 months to save up that money, right? So, and that's 250 months is what?
20 years.
So yeah,
20 something
right?
years.
So, and again, if you're putting away $1,000, when you're, I'm just saying, when you start off in your job force, can you have $1,000 to put away while paying for all the things that you need to live, right? So, again, a lot of people a lot of these first-time home buyers are getting assistance from other people because, again, with the amount of money you need, again, you have to be either very resourceful, or live very frugally, which, again, you got to do what you got to do, but it's not easy right now to get a home in the GTA unless you're willing to go to like St. John, like I said earlier, for a $250,000 home and do that and then build your way up. But basically, you just have to be resourceful and kind of plan it out. You can't just live without a plan right now if you want to get a home.
Well, I think why people are using the Uber Eats and, getting your groceries delivered is because they have to work so much and everyone in the house is working. And, then you're getting the kids all over the place, and it's a convenience thing.
I'm sorry, the Uber Eats, I can't. I refuse. For one, you're paying more than what you probably pay in the store just for the food. Then you're paying for delivery. Then you're paying for a tip. At the end of it, you're probably paying 2x the cost instead of just taking the 10 minutes to go into the store. Because you can even call and order it and then pick it up. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting old, but I can't.
It's a different generation
No,
out there now.
it's not a matter of old, it's a matter of responsible. There are people who have been raised in an instant environment, and therefore they just go and do these really silly, financially silly things. And then you got other people who weren't raised like that, but they do these silly things also. Excuse me. For the life of me, I am so sorry. But for the life of me, I cannot understand how you can be at your home and you can order a coffee to your door, a cup of coffee. I'm on the Anthony bandwagon here, where I think that is probably one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard of. It's absolutely insane. I would think it's financially irresponsible, and I think that families who do this may be out of luck for maintaining a future. Because while they may not, I'm sorry, because these habits manifest themselves, and when you're that, when you have a coffee maker in your home, but you don't use it. You run out and you go to the coffee shop. You order the coffee into your home. You are spending, as Anthony says, 2 to 10 times what it would cost you to do, and that is just extremely irresponsible. And this manifestation will, especially for your children, it starts off and seems innocent, but then these are the habits that they have as they grow in their lives, and they doesn't matter how much they earn, they end up doing more and more foolish things like this and totally destroying their future. So that's my take on it.
I think a little bit of it also is that when you think about it, when we were young, we got out of high school, we went to college, whatever, and then we were out of the house. We didn't really come back home.
You were kicked out before you went to college.
I mean, I wasn't kicked out, but like we left home early.
Most people were
now
kicked out.
Now you got like 27, 28, they're still living at home. So they're a little bit loose with their money. That's what I think. Because you think about it, like I'm out on the road driving and all these young people are in these fancy cars, and I'll say to Randy, I'm like, how are these young kids buying these things? But it's because they live at home and they have no other expense. So they're frivolous, I guess you would say, with their money.
Poor financial discipline. That's what I believe. I honestly believe that. And the parents are probably just as bad. As I will say this. At one point, I remember I was listening to all of the millennials whining about the prices of homes and that when they had ultra low interest rates. And when you looked at the environment of 1989, 1990, which was when most of us were sort of becoming adults at that point. That was the financial environment that we had to live in, where the homes may have only been $300,000, 200 and change $1,000, but interest rates were double digits. And the cost of living, the affordability factor then was much higher than it was for the millennials up until Tiff Macklin took over. And once this clown took over, all of a sudden he he made it much more affordable because he went down to near to zero. And then he did this QA trick. And then now the rates are going up quite a bit. And so now is the least affordable time in history. So that makes us, during 1990, very fortunate to have been around then, because that was the sort of starting of our building of wealth. But you got to remember that at that point, that was the worst time in history to ever be part of real estate, and we weathered through that. We fought through it. We saved our pennies, and we bought a home, and we got into the game. And so this generation is going to need to do the same thing. But how are they going to do it if they're buying fancy cars and ordering fancy coffee to their doorstep? How are they going to save the money? This I don't know. It's going to be an interesting ride, that's for sure. But I'll tell you, I think the big secret to it all is going to be for the kids is to make sure that they find their worth. You see, if it's unaffordable to live with the jobs that they have, then they need new jobs. You can't kind of have a relaxed job with low pressure, making next to no money and then complaining about life. You got to get yourself the job that will pay the money for you to be able to have the lifestyle that you're looking for. So you're going to have to fight. You're going to have to get up early. You're going to have to work longer. Unfortunately, life doesn't get more fun. It gets less fun. Remember, all the stuff that's being built, it's all small little homes now. So if you want a big home for your family, you're going to really have to step up. And, I think as baby boomers, we kind of had to go through a similar thing in the 1990s. Check it out. 1989 prices, 1987, 88, 89, they went up like crazy. They started to take a nosedive in 90 all the way to 96. And we had to fight through that time in order to get to this point. So our kids are going to have to do the same. And that's just the way it's going to have to be.
Anthony, I am not a baby boomer. I'm younger than Randy.
That's true, and that's probably why you're spoiled and you would order Uber Eats to your house and all kinds of stuff like that. All kinds of silly stuff.
Before we close out here, it's two emails. One from Donna. Hello, folks. My new property. And basically she has a little picture here with the headline. My dream, when I retire with my savings, living on a small island somewhere. So she's living on an island, like between the roads, and she has a little tent on the island there. So.
Oh my goodness, that's a good one. I was like, whoa, where's she living? I'm looking at this big building behind,
Small
and then I saw
island.
the tent. That's a good one.
All right, and then we just have another one from just Monique saying, hello, love the show.
And one more.
Oh, I don't know how to explain that one.
Well, I'll explain it to you. What's his name?
Ken.
Ken is writing in what he feels about masks, and he's using them as underwear when he runs out of underwear because he got to do laundry. So he's.
I don't know how to explain this one.
Oh, dang. And then they got Jackie thinks that she has a problem. Then it's a really, really short person who's holding a construction stop sign.
Sign that's up.
He's got to hold it like this for it to be up.
Anyways, ladies and gents, thanks for being us again this week. Hope to see you again next week. If you have any emails or questions during the day, send it to onair@yourteam.pro. Catch us on YouTube search for @yourteampros. And as always, it's been your home, your money, and our lives on realityradio101.com.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Bye for now.